back, everybody, to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks. My name is Charlie Sardelli, and I'm here today with
Jameson Amaros,
Oscar Ibarra.
And today we have a really fun discussion coming for you guys. It's a hot topic and has been for a while now, but we're going to talk about real estate investing.
I totally thought you were going to say fedoras because apparently I didn't get the memo.
You didn't get the memo?
No.
I think it was kind of like that text message that I didn't get about what time you were going to be here.
I figured we
the
talked
fedora
about
was
you
one
guys
that
were
you
going to say
didn't get.
fedoras are coming back. Let's talk about it on the podcast.
But you know what? These aren't fedoras. They're driver caps.
Yes.
What is the difference?
Oh,
it's a big
fedora
difference.
has the lip. It has the dip in the top.
It's the Frank Sinatra, the Sinatra one.
Wow.
This is a cab hat.
And then there's the caddy hats. I mean, they all have their space.
We'll get you one. I got a black leather one.
Man.
I got a black leather one at the house.
Maybe it's because I have hair that I don't.
That's probably why.
Yeah, I'm going.
But I know I've been wearing these since I had hair.
All right, guys. Today we actually have a really great bourbon for you. Honestly, this is hands down one of the coolest stories behind a bourbon that I think that we've had.
Yes.
And it ties into some of the entertainment industry too, and we never would have guessed it. So we're going to go ahead and pass it off to Jameson here and let him introduce our bourbon of the week.
Yeah, guys, I'm excited for this. I'm going to go off audio for a second so I can grab the bottle and show you guys. So give me just a second. Shimmying is tough. All right, cool. So today we have Horse Soldier, and it is it's a straight bourbon whiskey, non-chill filtered, right? But the story behind this it's dope. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's pretty cool. I was trying to look at the what did we say the movie was called?
I think like 12 Soldiers.
12 Soldiers,
like
right? So if you guys, I think it came out a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Hemsworth.
With Chris Hemsworth, right?
Yep.
And essentially it was some Green Berets went in right after 9/11
on horseback
and went into Afghanistan and overthrew one of the strongholds there,
mm-hmm.
like right in 9/11 adjacent, right?
Yeah.
And some harsh. Well, if you've seen the movie, it's in.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie,
place.
by the way,
go see it.
fantastic. It's actually
Wonderful.
It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But true story. It's based on a true story. And this bourbon is named after those soldiers, which they called the Horse Soldiers, right? So it is a veteran-owned bourbon company,
Mm-hmm.
and their members have essentially been in almost every major conflict that the U.S. has been in over the last 30 years. There's a couple of cool things about this bourbon, and again, we haven't tried it yet, but their story was so cool that I just had to pick it up, right?
Yeah, 100%.
One of the coolest things was New York City gave these guys steel from 9/11.
These guys.
They gave them steel from the World Trade Center,
Mm-hmm.
and they made it into a mold. So every bottle that you see, just like this one, is molded out of steel beams that were forged
from 9/11.
From the World Trade Center.
It's little things like that just add something to the sip.
It's just cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, what a cool story, right? Yeah. They're obviously all about veteran affairs and,
mm-hmm.
and taking care of our veterans and donations and whatnot. They have how do I want to say this? It's almost like it's a tasting room, but it's also a restaurant. So for anybody listening to us from St. Petersburg, Florida,
mm-hmm.
They have a tasting room that you can actually go to that has apparently phenomenal food. It's in St. Petersburg. They're opening up a couple more over the next few years. If you're traveling, it's something to go check out.
Sweet.
But you can taste the bourbon. They can give you a tour, and you can taste some fantastic food with
That's
it.
Awesome. That's awesome.
They've won a ton of awards, so it's not it's definitely not a slacker of a bourbon. They've won top 100 spirits in 2019, a couple different awards over the last couple years, and they've got distilleries in Somerset, Kentucky, St. Petersburg, Florida, where the tap house is, and near and dear to my heart, Columbus, Ohio.
Nice.
OH, baby.
That's awesome.
Ohio.
That's cool.
So I'm excited.
I have nothing to say about Ohio. I've never been there.
Yeah, it's
apparently a lot of people I know.
I've driven through it, but
I haven't even driven through it. I tend to stay south.
I mean, listen, guys, it's it's not great. It's Ohio, but no shade to Ohioans. My wife's from Ohio, so
nice.
Yeah,
I mean, LeBron.
True.
Yeah, and Steph Curry, both born in Akron.
There you go.
Really?
Yep.
Just pumping out superstars.
Wait.
Superstars,
pumping out
Wait.
superstars.
So yeah, they're distillery / still house.
What's
it's called the Urban
What's
Still
Steph
House.
Curry's first name?
Wardell.
Wardell. He's
Stephen
going by
Curry,
Wardell these days.
Yep, Wardell,
Just saying.
Stephen Curry. So I'm excited to taste this, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I'm gonna kind of leave out the notes because I kind of want to see what it tastes like.
Nice.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy because I didn't look anything up.
Yeah.
I haven't researched anything.
Yeah.
I was actually doing some work when you got here, and it was a surprise to all of us. So
Yeah.
I have zero knowledge of this bourbon.
It's forged in fire, which we know from last episode. Charred barrels.
Yep.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Elijah Craig.
Yes.
It is 43.5 alcohol by volume, 87 proof, so it shouldn't be
87 proof.
87 proof, so it shouldn't be
Okay.
too harsh, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Right?
All right, let's pour it up.
So we're gonna pour it up. Then bear with me, guys. Again, one more time. That's the whiskey. We're excited to try it, and thank you to Horse Soldier.
Yeah.
For having this on the shelf.
Absolutely. And while Jameson's pouring that out, guys, one thing that I do want to say is please, please, please leave us comments on the videos. It really helps us kind of get an idea of what you guys want to see. Because at the end of the day, like I said last week, we are here for you. And ultimately, sipping the bourbon, giving you guys real estate information is just our way of helping, right? So as we explore and you would like more of it, and you know, maybe you have one that you want to try, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
just let us know.
Or if you have your favorites, we'd love to try new bourbons. I mean,
yes.
I have my go-tos, and I tend not to venture out too much because I know what I like. I like what I like. So,
Yeah.
if you have any suggestions, by all means, I'd love to try new bourbon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And I will say, guys, number one thing that, you know, you guys may ask about is you've seen us have different cups for the different bourbons in different episodes. The cups do play a large part into the taste of the bourbon, the smell of the bourbon, and the overall experience of drinking it. And that's honestly with any liquor.
Yeah,
So
it's like wine.
Yeah, exactly. And so just to show you guys, this cup right here, what this is meant to do is this is meant to keep a little bit more of the aroma down here and then funnel it to you. So you get a little bit more of those flavor notes as you're sipping it. But I'm going to go ahead.
Again, with bourbon, right? Just like with anything else, you want to let it breathe a little bit.
Yes.
It just concentrates it and lets it aspirate, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do pour it, and like we're doing it, right? We're doing it neat.
Yep.
It allows some of the flavor to unlock a little bit, and that's where you get some of those undertones, right?
Yep.
You don't just get the heat, you get the vanilla, you get the cherry, you get the oak, you get whatever it is.
I mean, even just sitting here, I don't know about you guys, it's wafting. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a twirl and a sniff.
Cheers,
and then
guys.
Cheers. Cheers.
Man, we need to find this chair's got to shimmy myself back in with
Listen, man,
this
that
new
chair-
setup is cool, but
I think the chair suits you, though, honestly.
Okay. Now that I got the first sip down and the coated, now I want to see if I can actually get some flavor out of it.
I'm so used to the high proof stuff. This stuff's like, it's clean.
It's butter.
Yeah.
It's clean.
It's very clean.
It's a very clean front end.
I will say, in
Front
comparison to last week, I don't feel like the flavor is hitting as much. Like as far as the differences in the flavor. Like last week, I got vanilla followed by cinnamon followed by.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know what this is aged. Let me pull the bottle and see.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, a lot of the stuff we've done is high proof. It concentrates a lot of the like caramel, tobacco, leather flavors. This one's really clean up front. There's no burn at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about this before, right? So when we talk about aged barrels, there's a reason that aged barrels tend to be more expensive because they take longer, but they also
They're more
take
complex.
on the characters, right, for a longer period of time. So if you've got 2-year age versus a 9-year age, you're going to have different flavor profiles. You're going to have some more robust. You're going to have probably different layers as the whiskey tends to ferment and sit in a charred barrel for a long time, right? So that being said, these are aged at a minimum 2 years.
Okay.
So compared to last week was a 9-year.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
So it's expected to not have as robust of a flavor profile. Very smooth.
It is.
That was a specialty barrel too,
Yes.
because
Correct.
the non-specialty full proof are 12-year.
Okay.
So this was pulled because it was a
I mean, in
pick.
all honesty, for a 2-year sit, the flavor's great.
Right.
As far like I said, it's not punchy with the flavor.
Right.
You know, but I like that you said leather. I've never heard that as a description, but it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Leather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know how to put it, but like, I mean, I'm not gonna go lick the chair or anything, but it does.
It
taste
tastes like leather smells.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you set a broken arm, bite on a belt,
Just
you
let
know
it
what
go.
I mean? Like,
Yep. You're right. The belt would add to the flavor.
Yeah, exactly. It depends
You know what?
on, as long as
I'm
you're not
getting
hitting somebody with the belt.
melon, cantaloupe.
I get a little bit of vanilla. This is one of those bourbons too that I'd be excited to give to somebody who isn't necessarily a bourbon drinker.
Absolutely.
Because this would definitely not be something that they would be like, oh my God, that was overpowering.
Yeah.
It's almost like a really good beginner
Absolutely.
whiskey.
Absolutely.
Or bourbon, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the burn, the proofing and the burn are around like a Basil Hayden.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's something that I do want to accentuate for the viewers and the listeners as well, is that, you know, if you're out here drinking Jameson, Jack Daniels regularly,
So
I'm not drinking Jameson.
you know, if you're drinking those regularly,
yeah.
you can't compare those burns
No.
to these burns because one, they're still different. They're mass produced.
Yep.
They're, you know, these take, as you heard with the story, these take a little bit more love and time.
Yes.
And I mean, we're very lucky here in this undisclosed location to have the access to the people that we do. And we are going to bring them on for an episode just so we can get real in depth with you guys, because we know a lot of you guys really like the bourbon portion of the show.
Yeah.
And these guys are experts.
We got some guys and girls here that are fantastic as far as bourbon comes.
Guys and girls, they know their stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I like it though. I mean, it's smooth. I could sip on this. I can sip on this easy.
Absolutely. Well, and that's one of those dangerous parts for us here, is if it's an easy sipper and we're talking, it goes
Very
down
floral,
a little fast.
a fruit-forward floral.
Yes.
What I'm getting.
Yes.
What do we say?
Herbaceous?
Herbaceous.
No, not even herbaceous. I mean, like,
no, it is floral.
Like
You're right.
Yes.
Willet.
Yes.
Not my favorite.
Yep.
That is herbaceous because it smells like it tastes like lawn clippings. Like when you mow the lawn and that smell, that's what Willet tastes to me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I do love that smell though.
Do you know? So,
I mean, it's
Fun
not
science
horribly
fact.
bad, but
fun science fact. Do you know what that smell is?
They're dying.
Legitimately, the grass screaming at you. It's going, ah! It's sending it out to every other blade.
Is what you're saying?
No, you know,
When I
we
mow my
like a
lawn?
clean yard, and it's just like your facial hair, right? When you cut it, it grows back more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it works.
I
but-
yell at my lawn all the time. So it yells at me, I yell it back. Like, you're lucky the
Why are
HOA
you
gets
not
on my ass.
And with that
I
being
need to
said,
hire lawn service.
a lawn could be a very important part of a real estate transaction, right?
Yes.
Some people love it, some people hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Castle Rock, fun total side note that you just brought this up, passed legislation that in Castle Rock, any new build has to zero-scape
Wow.
because of water restrictions.
Wow.
I believe they can have a maximum of 500 square feet of natural sod in a backyard in Castle
That's
Rock.
not a lot, guys.
Wow.
500 square feet is not a lot.
You're going to see any of the new builds. I'm closing on a DR Horton next Monday, hopefully, fingers crossed, right? And they changed their landscaping because as of January 1st, obviously in Colorado, if you live here, we have water issues. Water's expensive. We don't have a lot of it. We're in a high desert. They are now, every new build is going to have to follow these new protocols where the backyards need to be landscaped and you can only have a certain amount of grass. So
And,
good news
I
is
mean,
less grass to scream at you.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, it's just a traditional thing to have grass.
Yeah.
Because you have Arizona.
Correct.
No grass. There's rocks, cactus, zero-scape, stuff like that.
Nevada is the same thing.
Florida, I mean,
Yep.
the grass they have down in Florida, you walk on that crap and it's going to cut your feet. It's that thick
Yes.
crabgrass
Yep.
everywhere. So, I mean, it's good for the environment. I mean,
Well, think about it, right?
zero-scape is great. I mean, I've looked into turf. I want to do turf.
Yeah.
I'm in the yard. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks good all year
Yeah.
round. I mean, it's a little pricey, but my
Well, I mean,
water
but
bill's
that-
less.
And that's, I mean, again, great point as far as for our topic today, in investing, right? And again, talking about the lawns, talking about where your money goes. If you're looking at purchasing a property, where do you want to put your money? What's going to help you, one, either sell and make your money off of that equity, which, if you guys don't know, equity is the money that you make on your home over time.
Yep.
So that's just a very simple
It's
explanation.
what you owe on your loan and what your house is worth. It's that gap.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that you have money in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually happened. Someone came in and asked me, how do I access that money? Where's that money? Give me that money. And I said, that's not how it works.
So, okay.
I'm just saying.
I've had poor experiences with Rocket Mortgage in the
Okay.
past. Okay. However, when it comes to what Oscar just talked about, they have one of the greatest commercials of all time. When they talk about unlocking, and this was back during the refi boom, and they did a whole ad around unlocking the money in your home, and it was literally a husband and a wife, and the wife goes, hey, so, I think we have a ton of equity in our house. And the husband walks around with a sledgehammer in his
Popping
home
holes in it.
and just starts popping holes in the drywall, looking for the money
That's awesome.
that he had. I was like,
awesome.
listen, you guys are not great when it comes to communication. However,
Commercials are
from
great.
a marketing standpoint, that was fantastic. I loved it.
Phenomenal.
So, and again, this topic was brought up for a number of things. Educate the public. There's some savvy investors out there. A lot of real estate agents know what they're doing. They're investors themselves. But also, there's a misconception, because you can do apples for apples on investments and renting versus owning. And they have what's going on right now is there's a diagram that shows your rent is $2,500. Your mortgage is $1,500 for the sake of the conversation, right? And they said your rent's going to stay the same, but the price of home ownership, right? And they put in the diagram, upkeep and all this stuff, and you end up paying more annually. And your rent's always going to be the same. But what they don't illustrate is that you're also going to appreciate your home year over end. Of course, there's maintenance you have to do. Plus, rents always go up anyway. So the misconceptions there, but I'll play devil's advocate on each side. I mean, I think one of the, I won't mention names, but the motivational speakers and whatnot, they don't own anything. Everything's rented. Leverage your money. Invest in everything. Yes, you can. But when you purchase a home, you could use it as a primary residence. We all need somewhere to live. You get bored of it, ditch it, rent it, you have an investment. Boom.
Well, and I think that's a great point that you brought up too, because I know for me, before I even got into real estate, and I'll put a picture up for you guys in the video, and for the audio, I used to be full hippie. Jameson knew me. I had hair down to my shoulders, and I didn't want credit. I was going to live in a van down by the river, all that good stuff.
He was Chris Farley on SNL.
Yes.
Live in a van down by the river.
Down by the water.
And I will say, like, the one reason that I really wanted to talk about this topic today is because that is something that has been so lost in a whole generation.
100%.
We're scared of credit. We're scared of getting these loans
Van
and
life,
doing
baby.
all that, right? But, well, not only that, it's, for me, when I would hear a friend or somebody who was in real estate go, hey, man, are you renting? Why are you doing that? Just buy a house. And I go, what do you mean? I can't just buy a house, And that's such an important factor. Like what you're saying is monitoring rent versus home prices, right? Because I know for me right now, personally, I'm in an apartment and they just upped my rent 10%. Now, with that being said, my rent's right around $2,000 a month. If I were to apply first time home buyer loan right now with the way that things are going, I probably wouldn't be able to touch that pricing for my mortgage payments, right? So again, this is why we wanted to do an episode like this, because there are options. And what I just said is exactly the thought process that most people are going through is, if I'm paying this much, I can't. But they forget about the back end part with the equity and the growth. Because the whole sentiment behind buy a house, don't rent is you're going to make money off your equity. You're going to make money long term.
And again, I come from a loan origination background. There's options. There's ways to get creative.
What is loan origination, just for the people
Somebody that's a loan officer.
There you go.
So if you watched our previous episodes, we had Devin on here. That's what
loan officer, pretty much. So you could get creative, and if there's going to be a structure to it, there's a way to do it. Your deposit, maybe, I don't know. If usually apartment complexes have a minimal deposit. If you're renting a house, first and last month's rent, that's at least $2,500, if not $4,000, right? In this market, $4,000. JC loved to tell the story that he got someone in a home for $1,500. Now they're buying a $1 million home.
8 or 9?
Yes.
No,
for example, quickly, if you don't qualify, there's co-buyers, right? Or co-signers for the loan. If you have a plan, if you're going to have roommates, you can afford it. And there's also loans that will take in consideration the potential rent from roommates. And they'll factor that in, and then you could buy.
Well, see, that's yes, absolutely. And it's funny that you brought that up, because when I first started, JC had told me, hey, go do showings, go walk homes, get information, right? And one thing that really stuck out to me was I think I went to seven total in a weekend, and 4 out of the 7 touched on renting. Like, for me, I didn't expect them, me to go in and go, hey, like, if you buy this house, and you might want to get some friends in here. But again, it is such a unique opportunity for home ownership. And it's better for your friends to have you as a landlord than it is for Joe Schmo in Kentucky that's going to, upcharge them and everything. And yeah, we may not want to deal with that with our friends, but at the same time, it works for everybody and it can help everybody.
Yeah. And as far as going through this conversation, guys, I think it's important to differentiate when we talk about real estate investing. Me personally, I think there's two sides, right? There's real estate investing for the purpose of buying, flipping, renting out, being a landlord, et cetera.
A savvy investor.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is just the investor, right? The other side of that is, if I buy a house, what does that investment look like?
Exactly.
And it's an important distinction because they both have their benefits, they both have their downfalls, they both have their challenges, and they both have their rewards. The difference becomes, what is your goal, right? As a consumer, what is your financial goal? Because there's something called, if you go in and buy a condo in Aurora, right, for $300,000, it's 2 bed, 2 bath, 1,200 square feet.
I just got an email for an investment property, $300,000 in Aurora.
Yeah, something standard, right?
House.
You're going to go in there. Oops. Ooh. You're going to go in there, and you're going to now have an ROI and say, okay, if I invest this much into the flip, I can then turn around and either sell it for a profit.
Side note, ROI means return on investment.
Yes, return on investment. I'm going to get something back, right? If you are a millennial, and I bring that up because millennials, honestly, we are the largest home buying group in almost the history of the United States.
We have a lot of power right now.
That ROI might be a little bit different, return on investment, as Oscar just defined, where that return on investment is I now have a place of my own that I can make my own.
Yep.
Right? That I can put a yard in, as we talked about with zero-scaping. Maybe my girlfriend and I now have a dog, and we want to be able to have a yard. That can be seen as an investment return. It's just an emotional one versus a financial one, right? So as we're going through this conversation and talking about real estate investment, there's going to be different sides. And the goal is to give you guys the information, because I know that everybody listening and watching is going to have different opportunities, different goals, affordability, all that kind of stuff. We want to go through both sides of that and kind of talk you guys through like why it makes sense going through in 2023. Is it worth it? We all have seen the headlines. We talked about it a little bit last week. It's all doom and gloom. Everything's going to fall apart. Putin's going to nuke the world, whatever. Home prices are going to go to $1. Just a bunch of bullshit, right? Our job is to give you the information. And if you guys are debating on, hey, I might be the person that has some extra capital, aka cash money, right?
Cash money.
To go buy a flipper and buy a home for $200,000. Flip it, spend $60,000 on renovations.
Another definition: a house that you're going to buy and then flip and sell to make profit.
So let's say I buy a house at $200,000. I put $60,000 in. I can sell it for $300,000. My profit's $40,000. Maybe that's your deal. The other side of this, hey, I just want a place to live and call my own, and not have to pay 100% interest like I am on renting. But if I buy it now, am I going to lose money? So we want to answer both of those questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I think Jameson brought up a wonderful point around that as well, in the fact that, again, like we say pretty much every episode, it comes down to your comfortability, where you are and what you can do right now. And I'll tell you, there's periods of time in your life where doing that is just not something that you want. Like I said, that was not in my mind. I didn't want the white picket fence, and I didn't want all this maintenance and stuff. But
backstory, I almost fought Charlie a couple times because of his unwillingness to just live in what I would consider a normal reality.
Yeah.
But I will also say it makes him who he is, and he is a phenomenal individual, a phenomenal agent.
We love Charlie.
It works for him, but he was one of those people that was like, I don't want to be held down. I don't want to be tied down. This is bullshit. I want to have
Well, and that goes
freedom,
into another conversation.
Whatever.
I mean, the new generation does not want to be held down. They don't want a long-term commitment. 30 years? Hell no. In the past, it was 5 to 7 years. You were either refinancing, selling, buying a new home, whatever. You were doing something with your property. And whether you acknowledge it or not, when you purchase a home, you've got an investment now. It's part of your portfolio. You need somewhere to live, but it's there. It's an investment property. New generation, I think the statistics said 2 years. They want to come in, and I don't want a commitment. 2 years, they'll be moving, doing something. Why not do it, right? Show you that it's still going to be an investment. You purchase it. If you want to leave in 2 years, you turn it into a rental. You make some money. Again, most of the information that we're going to give out today is for, the average consumer. The savvy investor is going to have their own game plan. They know what they're doing. But it involves cap rates.
Yep.
You know, if you're gonna flip and hold or just buy something and rent it out, it involves a cash on cash return.
Yeah, so
all that stuff.
Actually, Oscar, can you kind of break that down in a way where it says so let me ask, if somebody was looking at purchasing a home with the idea of flipping it and selling it to make a profit, what would you say is average time living in the home, and kind of some factors that go into that?
Well, when I deal with investors and they just want to fix and flip, obviously it's a different game. You hardly even look on MLS because everybody's on MLS, right?
Yeah.
There's other avenues to the acquisition of the home, right?
And the MLS is where realtors can see all the properties.
Yes, that's our inventory
Yep.
as realtors. So, you know, when you're scouting property, you got to look at what your ROI, your return on investment. So how much your ARV, which is the after remodel value of the home, that's some of the stuff that you look into, right? If they're going to hold it and go long term, there's a bigger breakdown, you know, acquisition, your real estate fees, and then your net operating income. And those are going to factor into your cap rate, your cash on cash, all that stuff. They all have to make sense.
Yeah.
I was something that I learned from Lon Welsh, shout out to Lon Welsh, he's a owner of Your Castle Real Estate, is you don't fall in love with the property. If you're investing, you're truly investing, numbers are numbers, no matter what, out the door.
Yep, and that is a huge element that I think is lost a lot nowadays is, you know, like you're saying, things change, right? My parents, my grandparents, they were all thinking, this is my forever home, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to raise my kids here, I'm going to die here, right? But that is not the case anymore at all. Like you said, now it's on average people that have the buying power, that do have that longevity. They're not looking for that longevity anymore. They want the freedom to live their lives and a passive income. And I will say that is a phrase that honestly I feel is thrown around too much. Is real estate investment will give you passive income.
And some of my investors, they have properties in other states.
Yep.
You know, Kansas, Oklahoma. They're investing in other markets.
Yep.
Because the numbers make more sense.
Exactly. And that is a huge element, is do your research.
Back in 2009, 10, you were buying low, but your percentages were good, but the numbers were low. Now the acquisitions are high. If you have the capital to do it, numbers can still be the same. You just got to work those numbers.
Yep. Exactly. And that's, I mean, for me, it's been something learning. Again, guys, I'm giving you guys kind of my input because, like I said, I used to look at real estate agents and landlords, and I was disgusted. I was like, oh, you're just trying to make money off people. You know, you're trying to buy this house to flip it. Now that I'm a real estate agent, honestly, that's not how it is.
Is it fair that you switched from a socialistic mindset to a
honestly, I just went.
and not to knock on everybody because there's deeper stuff, but I mean, why not? You know what? Why should somebody hold you back from
it comes
your
from
initial investment? It's a risk, right?
Yes.
If I'm taking the risk, I should reap the benefits.
Yep.
If you don't want to take the risk, don't. But don't knock on everybody else that wants to do it.
One of my favorite quotes is, "The best things in life live on the other side of fear."
Absolutely.
Right. And investing, that is, if I can give one point of information, is go into investing thinking that you're going to lose money. And I say that because it's better to prepare yourself for that long term and knowing that there's a possibility. And again, it's the undersell over, or underpromise, overachieve kind of aspect to it. And it definitely comes down to, if you're not ready, don't do it. But understand that real estate investing does take chance. You are in, again, a market that is based on emotion and so many different changing factors.
If you know me, you know I suck with names, so if I can't remember authors to books, but Susan something, she has a book titled "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway." Great book. And you know, when it comes to investing, I try to invest and make the most intelligent decisions to where my investments are going to yield me at worst break even. At worst.
I mean, a lot of the questions that come
obviously
around,
going high end, but when I calculate to where I'm going to make a profit, or if I'm helping my client, we're going to calculate and say, look, you're going to make a profit. Worst case scenario, you break even. That's how I like to invest.
Nice.
But you know, some of the times your return's going to be higher when you're like, okay, we might lose our ass off. Let's roll the dice, and that's where the big money is. We're not saying do that, But there's opportunity like that in real estate.
Yeah. Now, one of the big things that come around real estate investing is how much money do I need? Right. And that's a huge thing because everybody thinks, and I know for me personally, with the how I grew up, it was you need 20% down regardless. That's it. You need 20. That's it. That's all you can do. But like
shout
we've
out
covered,
Dave Ramsey.
Oh, shoot. Money management, man.
Right. But at that, as we have now and as we've seen in this market, we've had to come up with creative ways in lending and saving over time. Right? Jameson, you have experience in that?
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey, I'm more of a T. Harv Eker kind of guy.
Oh,
so
no, I'm
just
not a
saying
Dave
that.
Ramsey guy.
just saying.
He touts 20%. Here's the one thing. If you guys want to go and do your own research, right? Because obviously our goal is to provide you guys information. If you're looking at saying, hey, you know what? I have some extra cash left over. I want to see what investing looks like for me as an individual. Leverage is probably the most important thing that people need to understand. And I say that because it's kind of ass backwards from a traditional mindset. Leverage just means, can I leverage debt to gain assets?
Yep.
And
yes.
when I talk to people, whenever I say the word debt, they're like, oh my God, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. Right?
Yep. Me.
Debt.
How many Americans pay off their house?
Right.
Yep.
If
I'm
you
just
can,
saying,
if
look at
you
that.
understand
Look at that statistic.
the power of leveraging debt, you will then have a leg up on, I would say, 80% of the population when it comes to investing in really anything, but real estate specifically, because obviously that's our world, right? So when I say that, what I mean is if I'm buying an asset that's appreciating, which we've all decided that that's what real estate is, right? So quick statistic, just because I'm a stat guy, I pulled December year over year, right? Again, shout out Colorado. This is Colorado market. Obviously, everybody's different. This is just the Denver Metro.
Like Oscar said last week, because of the way Colorado is, we kind of lead the charge.
We do, but this is Denver Metro. So I know last week we talked a little bit about market statistics when we were talking about what 2023 would look like. One of the things I mentioned was over the last year over year and over the last 3 months, you had listings decline, you had pending contracts decline, you had days on market increase, right? All indicators that the market is slowing down.
Yep.
Is that fair to everybody? Okay. So one of the things that I looked at was, okay, well, if that's the case, let me look at pending listings. How many of them took price decreases?
Yep.
And we do it a rolling 7 days, right? But if I go back 3 months, about 60% of listings in the metro area, Denver, right? So Denver, Aurora, anything in Douglas County, Parker, Highland Ranch, Lone Tree, Centennial,
Littleton.
Castle Rock, yada, yada, yada. Not Hugo. Okay?
You know what?
King of Hugo.
I'm
Not Hugo.
gonna buy that
Colorado.
town.
I'm gonna put a crown
Also,
on your
hey,
head.
by the way, if we should do like a contest of like the first person that gives us like the coolest place to eat in Hugo.
Yes.
Should get a prize.
Yes.
I've
I'm
been
down
to
with that.
Hugo. No,
I'm down with that.
I'm gonna call BS because I've been there a few times. It's a
Anyway.
one street town.
Yeah, there's got to be
Ain't
one
shit.
place
No.
that sells like churros or like
like-
corn or a great sandwich. Anyway,
It's called the corner store.
yeah, there you go. Right, it's kind of like Oregon Trail. I can buy like malaria vaccine and
Yeah,
offload my
no,
meat.
you're gonna die of dysentery.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's what we all do.
We lost Grandma in the river.
Yeah, I forged every single river. First off, okay. So shout out to old school Oregon Trail.
Yes.
Always forge the river. Your horse dies. Your horse dies. Okay, there's honor in that.
That's what happens.
There's honor.
It's
in
like
that.
I shot a bear, an elk, and I only get 10 pounds of
I have
meat.
18,000 pounds of meat and I have no medicine. My family's dead, but I am full.
to go.
Actually,
Sounds like
really,
the
if you think about
pandemic.
it, that was like the first real estate too.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy. Anyway, totally off topic. Over the last 3 months, we'll go back. 60% of listings took a price reduction before they got sold. Right.
Wow.
So in most people's head, they go, "Oh my God, prices are dropping." So the investment that I was looking for is going to lose value. Well, guess what? According to December, and I would venture to bet January is going to be the same thing when that report comes out. Median home prices in the Denver metro area in Colorado increase year over year 2.5%,
Yep.
like clockwork. Even with less or more days on market, less listings, less pending, so on and so forth. Home values are still appreciating,
Yep.
right? So it's that point of understanding that if that's the case, and I can use debt to secure an asset that is then going to increase in value, that's important.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, think about it. If I have a house, let's say I buy my first primary residence, It's a townhome, $350,000, whatever. I sit on it for two years. I do some improvements. I upgrade the kitchen, the bathrooms. I replace the flooring, all the big ticket stuff that's going to give us a return, right? I bought it for $320,000, let's say. 2 years later, it's worth $420,000, $500,000 in 3 years, et cetera, et cetera. I can then take out something like a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, which is debt, right? Because it is credit.
Leverage, exactly.
But I can leverage that to then purchase another property as the down payment.
Not only,
now what I've done, so let's say I take $60,000, right? And I put it down on another $300,000 townhome. Okay? Yeah, my mortgage payment on the new house is whatever it is. But then I turn around and I rent that out. And I'm making $300 to $400 a month as a landlord.
Yep.
Well, what I essentially did was I paid $60,000 to buy something for $300,000 that is now netting me $400 a month in cash flow after I pay a property management company to manage it for me.
and that's
100%.
key. Property management. They make everything easy.
But it's a huge point that I want people to understand. And if you guys have an opportunity to look at what leverage looks like in real estate investing, it is probably the single most powerful tool that you can use and one of the best reasons to purchase a home. I am in a position right now, right? I bought my home 2 years ago. Okay. And funny fact, what I did was I pulled out a home equity line of credit on my house. I bought in 2020, which we all know is absolutely just fucking insane.
Crazy.
I did the same thing. Same year.
right?
We moved at the same time.
Same
But again,
year. Yeah. As a matter of fact,
investment
fun,
mindset.
Hey, real fun fact. I almost bought the house that Oscar bought. But at the time, it was a little bit more than what I wanted to spend.
Nice.
And JC
I was
showed
gonna
us
say,
both the house.
I was going to say, shout out to JC.
Yeah.
He knew what he was
And
doing.
Oscar ended up buying the house
that's
because
how
I
I met
love
JC.
his neighborhood, Opal Ridge, right?
Opal Ridge.
Yeah, is fantastic in Castle. I love it.
That's awesome.
So we're just on the other side of the road, and we ended up getting my house because Oscar ended up offering.
I went
the
under
house we wanted
contract. I was all
to.
over it.
Yep. But what I did was before I got into real estate, I sat there and I said, okay, well, I'm not going to have any money if I go and get my license. I was coming from a salaried job. I was getting paid 6 figures every 2 weeks, 401k, blah, 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 blah. But I understood the potential that real estate had for myself and my family.
Yeah. Risk and reward.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, but what I realized was, well, if I go into this, I don't have any clients. It could be 6 months, 10 months, whatever it was. I took a HELOC out. And because my home increased in value in a year that I offered it, that I owned it, right? We bought it $539.
Yep.
It got reappraised at $680 in a year and a half, right? So I go, okay, we can borrow up to 80% loan to value, whatever that looks like. I ended up taking out a HELOC that essentially paid for my mortgage for a year, which allowed me to do something that I had a passion for that had leverage not existed, I would not have been able to do.
Absolutely. And I mean, something, that a lot of people don't really recognize. And the reason I brought up the pricing, right, to get into it. Guys, how much does it cost to talk to a lender to get a quote?
Yeah. Free 99.
Oh, look at that.
Coffee?
Right? Yeah, maybe.
Not even a coffee.
Maybe.
If
Right?
it's one of our
Coffee.
preferred lenders, hey, just call them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And that is something that a lot of people think that you're gonna have to give away your firstborn child,
Yeah.
your kidney or whatever to get information that starts you out on investing.
Not at all.
All you have to do is reach out to a lender. And again, guys, shameless plug. All of us have lenders in the pocket. And if you need any help, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to reference you. But that's an important part.
Yes, it
Again,
is.
is a lot of people think I need 20% down. When all you have to do is sit with a lender, give them your income, like you said, give them your debt to income ratio, all that kind of stuff, and they'll tell you like, hey man, if you can work $5,000, I can get you into something right now.
If you're renting and you need to borrow money, things get tight, you want to do some traveling or whatever, what do? Put it on credit cards?
Yep.
What's the interest rate on credit cards?
Some are
16,
20.
17, 18,
Yeah.
20%.
Astronomical, right? Not the best idea. Wait till you have money and then do it. If you have a house, you borrow against your equity. You borrow against yourself.
You almost
Minimum.
You essentially turn into your own bank. at that
Absolutely.
point.
Yep. 100%.
To do whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
I don't care. I mean, it's not a good idea to pay off cars and stuff like that
No.
with your mortgage. I always advise against that. But if you're in a pinch, why not draw from your HELOC?
Yep.
I mean, you'd start leveraging yourself. Then you have some purchasing power
Absolutely.
that you're not spending off your hard-earned money. Now your house is helping you invest in more or do other things that need to be done. Or 1 month you're having some hardships, put from your equity. Next month you have they all have different structures, different banks. Most of them are going to be draw for 5 years, pay in 15, and then they have interest only options. And I mean, if you were to pull like 150,000 out of 5%, your payment's like $500.
Yep.
But you've just used $150,000. So I mean, when you buy a house, you're automatically going into investment mode.
Yep.
Even if you don't do anything with it, you have a home, you need a roof over your head, but you have options now.
Yep.
So let's break this down in two pieces, right?
Yeah.
So Oscar, talk to me about what investing from a return on investment and maybe flipping, et cetera, renting, becoming a landlord looks like this coming year.
That's a damn good question. This
I
coming
know,
year,
right?
it's tough. It's been tough the last few years.
Yep.
I have a few acquaintances and family that are in real estate that they build out houses.
Yeah.
They do a few doors a year, and they had a drop.
When you say real quick, when you say they build a few doors a year, what does that mean?
They from the ground up. They purchase
up,
the property,
yeah.
they scrape it, and then they put up a new house essentially.
Yep.
So, you know, a lot of that stuff happens off market. This year, I don't know what's going to happen because another stat, there was a 28% increase in mortgage demand.
Sure.
I think that's going to ramp up buying again. I think the general public acclimated to the new norm, higher rates, and there's going to be a lot more buying going on than the end of last year. And I can only speak to my listings and what I had last year. I think we took a drop of like 7% at the highest,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
it depends. 600,000, that's
Yeah, I
It's
think
a lot
the
of money.
average first price drop was 5.5% to 6%
right.
Yep.
in 2022.
At the end of the day, how much were we going up year over end the last 3 years?
Yep.
A lot. So we're still holding strong. We're good. When it comes to investments, again, if the numbers are the ones that are going to dictate what you're going to invest in.
Yep.
So coming into the new year, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, if and I hate to say this, but in the investment realm, you take advantage of good opportunities, and it's usually with people that just getting rid of their homes.
Yeah, I think we're at a point right now, right, where we're not. I think we talked about it again last week. I called it the purgatory market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The
However,
great stalemate.
That's what it was. Stalemate.
Locked in.
Locked in, baby. If you can afford it, and you have the means to do so, I think buying from an investment standpoint right now is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Because you can get closing costs covered. You can get rate buy downs. You can get reductions in just overall home price.
Yep.
Right.
And the rates dropped. I think we're at 6.25.
6.2, 6.5.
Yeah.
6.25 to 6.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Do a
just
permitted
saw,
buy down. You're in
saw
the
an
fives.
article,
Yeah.
7%,
Well,
7% over the weekend.
And I always say this, right? And I've said this since I started real estate. I know it's been two years, whatever, but it's rang true. You have, and this is probably true for any industry, you have the people that are in it every day, and then you have the consumers. And the consumers are normally 3 to 4 months behind what's actually happening.
Yep.
Right? If I'm looking to invest in property, I'm probably in that same lap pool of I'm 3 to 4 months behind. So if you guys are wondering and you say, hey, well, you know what? I do have some extra money, or I've got A, B, and C is a good time to invest. Reach out. We'll tell you, right?
Yep.
We can run cap rate, which is capitalization rate, right? Which is essentially a percentage of what you're going to make on the property that you invest in. We can run calculators for you guys. And if the numbers make sense, let's make offers. If
So
they don't
cap
make
rates
sense,
are net operating income divided by the purchase price and fees. So whatever acquisition or purchase price, loan costs, all your fees, and then your net operating income.
So I'm not going to put you on the spot, but what's a good cap rate?
12.
12%, right? 10 to 12, somewhere around there.
That'd be
If you
awesome.
If you get 10 to 12%, money,
You're good.
right? But there's opportunity now because we've seen, and I can pull it up. I have a client that we're going to start looking for condos and townhomes, right? There's a couple condos, townhomes for $300,000, 2 bed, 2 bath, probably needs some updating, that have been on the market for 47 days.
Yep.
What do you think you can do? If I'm an investor, do you think I can
Options.
get in at 280,000?
Probably.
Do you think I can get in at maybe 300,000 with 15 grand in concessions?
And talk to us. We know there's hard money,
Yep.
merchant's mortgage. There's investment banking out there, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Use your equity in your home, invest. Again, it's a little bit of a risk. Nobody wants to do that. And a lot of people don't want to be landlords.
Yep.
Calculate it, get your expenses in, do the math. If it works, why not? Roll the dice.
Right.
Well, I'll be honest, like you said it earlier, right? You said worst case scenario, you can invest
Break
in
even.
something and break even.
Yep.
Right. So breaking even renting versus breaking even owning a property is very, very different.
Yep.
Because when you own a property, what are you doing? You're paying off the principal. So essentially, if I have a $300,000 property and I'm just breaking even by renting it out for $1,200, $1,300 a month, plus all expenses, whatever it is, well, in 7 years, essentially what's happening is you are doing two things. You're providing value to a tenant by providing them, you know, an affordable place to live, which is fantastic. That tenant in turn is paying the rent, which is then buying down your principal.
Yep.
And as it's buying down your principal, even at 2.5%, which is historically low for a housing market to increase value, you are now essentially, in 15 years, 20 years, that property could be paid for. And let's say you bought it initially at $300,000, renters paid it, you broke even for 15 years, which is not realistic, but very, very low ball. And in 15 years, now that property is worth $500,000. You now have a $500,000 asset that you paid $0 for.
Yep.
Because somebody else paid your mortgage.
And again, go back and listen or
It's
watch.
$500,000, guys, if you sell that.
I'll put the tag down in the description for everybody. But go back and watch episode 8 or 7 where JC was talking about his clients that he took from what, $250,000, $300 home?
$250,000 to $1 million.
$1 million.
$1,000 down.
Right?
What, 6 years?
Yeah. So, guys, that's the possibility of what's out there. And again, these people were not ready. They even told JC, I remember, they were like, I don't think I can do this.
Yep.
Right?
And again, twofold. You have on your TikTok, I believe, you talked about $50,000.
Yep.
You put it in the bank. What's your return? Year over year.
1% if that.
Hell, even now.
Which is about $500.
Yeah.
You take $50,000. You put it into an investment. That's going to pay you $200 month over end. I think you're winning.
Yep, absolutely.
I would say you were winning.
Yes,
I mean,
100%.
and people think, okay, I'm putting $50,000 down. I'm only making $200 a month. Well, put those $50,000 in the bank and see how much you're making a year.
Exactly.
Look at it that way.
Here's the biggest thing that I always tell people, right? And I'm a guy that likes to simplify the shit out of things.
Yes.
Because to me, if you know the fundamentals, it's easier to make informed decisions, right? And then to understand the levers and foundation of those decisions, right? If you look at assets in general, there's certain assets that will fluctuate year over year, month over month, decade over decade, whatever it is. When you look at real estate, until we colonize a different planet or the moon or something else, land is finite. And where you can build
Freaking colonizers.
is finite, right?
Right.
So to me, if I'm looking at an asset, I say, okay, yes, this is a short-term goal, long-term goal. If I look at long-term goal, land is limited.
Yeah, it's something that they're not making anymore.
On land. So
Go
if
talk
I
to the big
purchase something,
man upstairs.
you may have the ebb and flow with the market, and like right now, right, we've got affordability issues and we've got supply issues. So yes, supply is low, but affordability sucks. So you're seeing this leveling out and potentially decrease, honestly, in home values over the next year, 2 years, whatever it is.
Yep.
But over the long game,
Exactly.
if you were getting somebody else and you're providing them value and they're paying your mortgage and whatever it is, because land is finite, the resource is finite, it will only increase in value over time.
Yep.
And yes,
100%.
everybody is used to 20% year over year increase in houses, right? Because that was
It was crazy.
it was a manufactured thing that happened, right? So
But
now
okay,
it's
go
like,
back to 2020.
2.5%.
Why did we buy in 2020?
Exactly.
Oh my God, it was
Money's
free. It was
cheap.
free money. It was cheap,
Yeah.
cheap money.
2.75%.
I was like, I'm stupid if I don't make the move now.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly. But
because I
now
knew that
that
wasn't
it's-
going to last.
now
It
that
was
it's
not going to last.
6.25%,
It was
people are
not
like, oh,
sustainable.
The market's going to crash. It's not,
No.
right? Home prices are going to come back to earth, which I think we talked about this last week as well. I said Colorado was 590% over the last 10 years, right? Is it realistic? No, it's manufactured, right?
Right.
But right now, I just looked at December, 2.5% median home price value increase is 2.5%.
That's awesome.
That's low.
Yeah. I was going to say, and that's
But
in
that's good
that's
because
in
we were thinking
Colorado.
we're going decline, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's a good.
Yep.
That's a good sign that it's continuing the trend
Exactly.
of historic.
Well, and Warren Buffett said something in one of his books. He's got a lot of books. He's a very
He
smart
reads
man.
a lot of books.
He does read a lot of books. But he...
That was a very, very Trump-ish answer.
Ooh.
That was actually more
He's a good
like-
book. He's a
that
good
was
man.
You should read his book. It's a great book.
It was a Trumpism equated with Anchorman.
Yes.
Guy with many leather-bound books and smell of rich mahogany. But Warren Buffett
rich
from an investment standpoint, said, buy when others are fearful,
Yeah.
right? And then stay true when others are greedy,
Yep.
then stay put. Right?
Absolutely.
And right now, I think we're in that weird spot where everybody's so used to free money, essentially. Now that rates have gone up, it's like, oh my God, everything's going to.
Yep.
If you have the means and you have the affordability, and we talked about it last week, your monthly budget, whatever that is, if you can afford it, I think personally right now, as a buyer, you have a phenomenal
Yes.
opportunity
100%.
to purchase, and whether it's for an investment, immediate return, I'm going to flip something and sell it for something more, or it's the more emotional, I want to own a home and be secure in the fact that it's going to increase and appreciate in value. Right over the next 6 months, it's a fantastic time because those interest rates are keeping all of those fearful people
Yes.
away, which now lowers the demand, which means you can now ask for things that get you and set you up in a position over the next 5 to 15 years. And you could sit there and in 15 years go, oh, I bought 5 properties over the last 15 years, and I was using my equity along the way
Yep.
and leveraging my debt. What did you do? You were renting, and your rent went up 76%.
If you bought in 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, call me. You have tons of equity, and
Yeah.
let's let it work for you.
Yep.
And
Well,
if you're renting right now and you're looking at, man, would you say 10%?
10%
right?
raise, yep.
And you know what? It's cool. You get your maintenance done.
Yeah.
All these
You have to
different
worry about
things,
anything.
But hey,
Okay.
just out of curiosity, like with a landlord in a condo with 300 tenants and your sink breaks, how quickly does somebody get out there to
Well,
fix the
yeah,
sink?
and that's what I was gonna say. And I mentioned it last week when with my girlfriend, is like giving me that view. And I know I said earlier I was a hippie. Like, what changed that thought? And honest to God, it was having a vision of the future.
Yep.
Because I didn't before. And now, once I started learning, looking at investing, looking at equity, looking at what was available, I'm going, wait a second. This is not as hard as everybody made it out to be.
You just
It's
have
not.
to know the rules of the game.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. And again, lenders are free to talk to.
And realtors are also free to talk to.
Yes.
You know what's crazy is that I grew up not knowing much about financing, yet alone mortgage banking.
Yep.
So I had no clue that 20% was the standard of what you needed to save up to buy a house.
Yeah.
I got in the industry when I was 21, back in 2000, 2001. I was a lender. I thought the norm was 3%, 3.5%.
Right.
And back then, actually, there was 100% financing, not non-VA.
Yeah, that
So
turned
that-
out turned out well.
Real
That turned out great. I had nothing to do with any of
Shout
that.
to
out
you.
08.
Shout out shit.
Also, if you guys haven't watched The Big Short,
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
that was us.
Great movie.
Everybody
watch
that
The
was
Big Short.
everybody that was in the industry
Yeah.
back then.
yeah,
So-
and
so-
understand that that's not going to happen again.
But that's just it. I didn't understand that was the industry, the not even industry, the consumer standard of buying a house, 20%, and
Knowledge,
it's not the truth.
Knowledge.
Yes,
Right. That's what it comes
and
down
it's
to.
it's case by case.
Yes.
Talk to us. Let us know your situation. The more we know, the easier it is for us to place you in the spot you need to be.
well, and the
and
more
I
the
think-
consumer
Don't omit,
knows, the easier
let
it
us
is
know.
to make a decision.
Right, and if
That's
you're
the
like,
whole
you know what,
point.
Oscar, I seriously only have $1,000. Okay, well, let's
figure it
talk
out.
about the process. Maybe we wait a few months. You gather some money for some down payment or some not investment. Oh my God, the process of real estate.
The process of real estate.
This
I
is
like
not
it.
this
I
is
like
not
it.
even
We're
100
going.
plus proof.
Well,
I'm thinking about other stuff.
On that note, I think
inspections and you know what's going to be out of pocket,
Yes.
earnest
Yeah.
money,
Yes.
inspections,
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yes.
It might not be a lot. At worst, maybe $2,500,
Yes.
maybe even $1,500.
Yep.
You know,
So on that note, as we're coming to an end here, guys, this is my favorite part of the podcast because it's a challenge for all of us. But I think this is a good time to move into our one rock takeaway for the episode, and we're gonna try and keep it concise.
after
all right?
after
you
what I just said, I'm
summarize?
kind of embarrassed because I only had one pour, and it's like 87
Hey,
proof.
hey,
How do you summarize all this knowledge? Though? That's
we're gonna.
tough.
So I'll go first.
Go for it.
My one rock takeaway from this week is educate yourselves. Take the time, reach out, ask people questions, and learn, because coming from me, somebody who's done it in the last year, you're going to learn a lot, and it's going to open up a lot of doors for you. Jameson?
My rock takeaway is, let me be profound.
Oh, okay. Let's get
Okay.
it.
Geez, this is the lowest proof bourbon we've had on this episode. Did we not eat before this? Because
I made sure I had a
now,
sweet.
now
I'm
we're
not gonna lie,
profound.
I
I
don't
can't
think I-
remember
All right,
shit.
wait.
I had lunch.
One,
Yeah.
one rock take.
One rock takeaway. Here's my one rock takeaway. Lack of knowledge equals fear. And what I mean by that is when people are fearful, in my experience, it's because they haven't done their own due diligence to fully understand what they are trying to accomplish, right? So when we talk about investing, a lot of people are fearful because they look at it as Vegas. I'm going to throw 50 bucks on black and I'm going to spin the wheel and see what happens, right? Well, my argument would be if you understand the table games, right, or blackjack, right? There's a way to play blackjack.
Yep, know the odds.
There's books out there on how to play blackjack, when to double down, when to stay.
Always hit
when
on
to-
16.
Right?
I split eights.
Always. Well, no, actually, funny fact, right? They say that on 16 you pick one or two.
Oh,
You
yeah, it's either
always
way.
stay or always
But
stay.
you always go
You
or
always
always
do
don't.
whatever it is. But that's a great analogy, right?
Yep.
If you read a book on blackjack and then you go and gamble enough on blackjack, most likely you're going to come out on top. What happens is people are fearful or they just don't want to put in the extra work, right?
To understand
the
the
beauty
game.
of this industry is you guys can come to us and we can give you our knowledge and our insight and point you into the right direction with the right resources and set you up to win.
Yep.
Regardless of if you fall on, like we talked about, the investment side of immediate return or the emotional return of owning a home, we can help you with either.
And Jameson expounded so much on the profoundness. So now we're going to lean on Oscar to bring us home. Oscar, you
I'm
want to
gonna bring it
takeaway?
home really fast. Real estate opens up different avenues for sources of income for you.
Yeah.
I like it.
Agreed.
I like
Talk
it.
to us. I don't want to give out too much. If you purchased in the last few years, come talk to me. You might be able to invest, and the risk is low.
And now, for the part that everybody waits for,
Bruce Buffer.
let's go ahead.
And now.
And now. Let's
Also,
go ahead.
That
and,
dude has the greatest job in the fucking planet.
100.
He makes $150,000 per event that he announces.
Yep. Yep.
Unreal.
It's per every time he says his catchphrase.
And now.
Per catchphrase.
So
Insane.
let me channel it.
Okay. Hold on. Be quiet.
And now, here comes our rock rating.
You sounded kind of like Marcus Aurelius
Ooh.
in
Ooh,
in
I'm sorry. It's
Are
the
you
mic-
not entertained?
It's the microphone in front of me. I just want to do all the voices. All right. So
All right, cool. Rock rating.
rock rating. All right.
Well, Oscar, you left. You ended the rock takeaway, so start the rock rating.
I'd take one more sip.
And again, as always, once you do your rock rating, old-fashioned worthy, yes or no?
Rock rating. It reminds me too much of Willett. Not a fan. I love the story. I want to say I loved it, but I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
It's good. It's easy drinking.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No.
Yeah.
But it's not my wheelhouse.
Yep.
Perfect.
Definitely a 4.
Understandable.
And old fashioned, nah.
No.
Yeah.
The ingredients in old fashioned would eat that up.
Right.
Sweet,
I agree
bitters.
with you. Yeah, I agree.
The bourbon would get lost
I
Absolutely.
would say I would rather have this on its own. versus-
on its own than an old
100%.
fashioned. 100%. This is a leave it alone, just drink it.
Yep.
Jameson.
I'm gonna go with. I'll probably go with a 4 too,
Yep.
maybe 4.5. And it's not because it's not good, but I stick to my original statement. I think this is a fantastic beginner's
Yes.
whiskey. right?
Absolutely.
I agree.
We've told the story before
Absolutely.
that JC and I literally forced ourselves to like whiskey because we wanted to be cool and unique, right?
Yep.
So we would go to each other's houses and just pour whiskey. And we started with like whiskey, half water, and then we would continue to go down. But we were drinking what we were considered high end now, right?
Yeah.
Like Weller 12, E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare, Blanton's. Not to shout out
Stag.
this, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Had I had this as one of my first whiskeys, honestly, I would have been turned on quicker. I
Yeah.
think it's easier drinking, it's smooth. There's not really a burn to it. Now it's not complex.
Yes.
Which I think that's how we rate these. Is like, you know what? What's the flavor profile?
We've been drinking for a while though. We've had bourbon for some time.
Yes,
So.
and now,
And that's
right?
unfair,
But if
right.
this was one of the first bourbons I tasted, it'd get rave reviews just from the fact that it's very easy to drink. I think 4.5 rocks would be good. It's an easy sipper. Again, I concur with Oscar. Story is phenomenal, and if you guys are in St. Petersburg, by all means, please support these guys. At the Still House, they're fantastic. If you find this outside, I think it was $49 for the bottle.
That's not bad.
Perfect.
Not bad at all. I think it was priced right, easy to find. So yeah.
So I think again, I love the story. I'm from New York. I think it's a beautiful thing that they've been using the metal from the World Trade Center.
That is dope.
That's amazing.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
As far as a drink, I think I'm honestly gonna go with a 6.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I was being brutal.
Yeah. No. And you know, honestly, it's. I don't want to think of it as a brutal thing, but
it's the lack of complexity, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, yes, and again, with it being that introductory bourbon that you can sip on, yes, but based on what we've drank already in comparison to the price, I think if you spend an extra $5, you're going to get a much better option.
Yeah, I mean, you can get Smoke Wagon, not uncut and filtered, but just small batch for $56.
Exactly. So that's the only reason
why I
paid
paid 50, 60 for the barrel.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And that's where. So I think that's where I'd give it a 6, because I think everybody who watches this, you know, you're watching to learn and as well as and explore, right? And I think I wouldn't be doing my due diligence and saying, yeah, it's a 3 or 4 because of this. Whereas I will say, if you're starting to drink bourbon, drink this. It's a great way to start in.
Yes.
But if you are a little bit more seasoned in drinking bourbon, I think that there are other options out there for you that you'll enjoy a little bit better.
Yeah, for same or similar price.
Yep, absolutely.
And I hate to say this, I mean, even at the beginner level, I like Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
So I would compare this to Basil.
Yeah.
It's a great beginner bourbon, and that's the realm that this is in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been an awesome episode.
Dude, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this
I was a little out of funk this episode. I'm not gonna lie, but I always have fun.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Time, man.
Yeah,
I always have a good time.
So everybody, again, as always, like, subscribe, comment,
share,
and we hope to be with you for months, years to come, and exploring all the bourbons that we can with you. So write us some comments, guys. Don't text us personally. Put it in the comments.
Subscribe. If you're going to talk about my glasses, talk about it on the comments. Come on, let's make it fun.
Yeah, let's go. But stay tuned. We have a lot more coming down the pipeline.
I might wear a fedora next time. Oh, sorry. Driver's cap.
There we go. I got one. And with that being said,
we're going to turn this in. Well, we got it. Hold on. How do we get a hold of us?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
How are they going to talk shit?
Yeah.
You're right.
They can't talk shit if they don't know
I'm just
where
kidding.
we're at.
How can we help you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also that too.
So
if you guys want to get a hold of us, single email will get to all 3 of us. The Mile High Perspective 5280 @gmail.com. And we'll be on YouTube. We've got a TikTok channel as well. Individually, we have all of our own. So I am the ColoradoRealEstateGuy.com. Same thing on TikTok, on Instagram. Obviously, Jameson Amoros on Facebook if you guys want to connect with me there.
I am That Lifting Agent on Instagram and TikTok. And my email is csardellirealty @metro5280.com. And please feel free to message me, text me 704-402-9690. Looking forward to it.
I am Oscar Barra on Facebook and Oscar the Realty across the board. Instagram, TikTok. I think my Facebook is also Oscar the Realtor, and I have the website. And Oscar at oscartherealtor.com for emails. Phone number 720-297-3823. And whoever's texting me, like random weird stuff, please stop. I was holding back giving my number because all of a sudden I get these random texts from an unavailable number, and it's like, all right, maybe I should stop giving my number out on the podcast.
And with that being said, everybody,
you know what, though? That's a good thing. That means we're reaching people. So, if you guys listen, the one thing we want to know is how we can help you guys, right? So we know that 100%. Real estate's complicated, and our entire goal of this is to make it uncomplicated for you.
You're not the expert, and not because you don't know. It's because you don't have to be. Exactly. Let us be. Let's take that burden off you.
You talk to your brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts,
dog's
nephews, dog's cousin.
Doctor's
and you go,
attorney.
you know what? I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem right to me. Shoot us an email. Put it in the comments. We'll answer it. On the flip side of that, from a whiskey standpoint, right? We love to try new things.
Yes.
Yeah, send us something.
If it's something that you're like, oh, you guys have to try this and review it, let us know. We'd love to do it, and we'd love to give you our honest opinion. and we appreciate everybody that's watched and listened. And hopefully provide some value, some laughs. Whatever it is, we're here for you guys.
Absolutely. So
and if you recommend Fireball,
we're gonna do it eventually. But
I mean,
I don't know how that episode's gonna go, but
we're gonna keep going. So I'm gonna sign off here. Everybody, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it,
being
guys.
part
next
of it.
time. Thank you.
very much.
Subscribe.